Hey guys, Shadowz here. Welcome back to another Gears of War 4 video. Today, finally, I want to share my final impressions, a full review, if you would like to say, of the Gears of War 4 multiplayer beta. Starting things off as an introduction, the Gears 4 beta was a solid Gears multiplayer gaming experience, and a great start as a brand new entry in the franchise coming from the Coalition for the first time. For somebody who has played Gears of War since the beginning, since the start, and put a lot of hours into the Gears 4 beta, trust me, I know life dear. I would love to use this video purely as feedback for the Coalition if they ever do decide to give it a watch. And so there's a few categories just to summarize everything together. This is my honest opinion on what I think was good, bad, and needs improving from what we got to play. Firstly, I want to talk about the Gears 4 multiplayer core experience, which covers the fundamentals of what makes up the gameplay itself. This includes movement, active reloads, and the new close cover combat moves. For overall movement, I do enjoy the slightly slower pace of things, the slightly slower take on things compared to Gears 3, as now it feels like you do have control of the gameplay itself and your surroundings as well, compared to Gears 3 where everything was pretty much happening way too quickly. Next, the active reloads new system works perfectly, with weapons like your Lancer, your Nasher, balancing out active damage with the new cooldown. It doesn't really work at all with any or many of the power weapons that feature a single bullet for each of the clip, like the boom shot, the drop shot, the torque bow, and also the sniper. Yes, quite a few of them, as the ability to reload at any given time defeats the purpose of active reloads with these power weapons. The perfect example I came across with the new active reload system and these power weapons is when going to pick up something like the boom shot, being able to instantly active the first shot the moment I pick it up is a problem already, but when I've used the first shot and I've missed the active reload, the game doesn't punish me for it, as I do have the ability to reload at any given time, meaning even if you do attempt to active the reload, the boom shot, about 10 times or even more and fail every single time, you can actually keep on doing it until you do hit that perfect active reload, which completely defeats the purpose of reloading these power weapons, as you basically have the ability to get an active 100% of the time, which shouldn't be the case at all. Like, you're not actually getting punished for missing the active reload the first time. Don't worry, you can actually try 50 times and still get the active until you do get it. For the final game, I would go back to the old active reload system for the power weapons, as they were a lot more balanced that way, but keep this new competitive active reload system for the starting weapons like the Lancer, Nasher, and other weapons that feature a magazine clip like the Mulcher and the Boltok. Lastly, for the new close cover combat moves, I did like the Yank and Shank, the Vault Kick, and the reworked Mantle Kick. I really did enjoy the new variety added in, changing up the new cover gameplay from just previous Gears games, allowing a few different strategies and tactics that you could actually use while playing. Next up, I want to talk about some general features of the beta, including graphics, the ranking system, multiplayer bots, and as well as glitches. To start things off, let's quickly talk about the graphics of the beta. Now, while we know it is a very early version build of Gears 4 that we did get to play being a pre-alpha, what I didn't really understand from watching the E3 teaser gameplay last year is why the game's tone in multiplayer feels completely different from the campaign. Now, while I didn't really have too much of a problem with how the game looked in the Gears of War 4 beta, I was really looking forward to the darker tone atmosphere that we got to see from the teaser gameplay last year, as the beta felt completely different, lacking that dark, horror-like environments we saw originally. Hopefully something gets changed there for the final game. For the new ranking system, I really did enjoy seeing an elo-based system in Gears of War finally, where skill actually factors into the rank given to each and every single player. While I know it didn't work perfectly in the beta, and your rank only updated once at a certain time every day, so for me it was at midnight in the UK, I do appreciate it being actually put into the beta itself. And just for the final game, I do hope the ranking system updates as you play, with a visual indicator showing how close you are to either ranking up or ranking down, as well as seeing an in-game pop-up of when that moment happens as you go from each tier to tier. Now, after playing the Gears 4 beta, then going back to Ultimate Edition, I love not playing against multiplayer bots in a Gears of War experience, as I do feel like they have no place in a competitive environment, as every game mode in Gears of War 4's beta or just in Gears of War 4 in general, will be able to be abused with killing of the bot players. So I'm hoping that the bots aren't in any of the playlists that do offer a competitive rank, and are just kept to the co-op game mode that allows newer players to purposely play against a team of bots just to get better or play casually. For the glitches, there weren't too many that I came across in the Gears 4 beta. Shout out to the QA team for doing such a good job on that. The only major one I came across was the one you're seeing in the video right now, where the map was actually having a seizure, where parts would disappear, and obviously this was game breaking. It wasn't playable, so yeah, let's get that fixed for the final game, obviously. Lastly, I just want to quickly talk about maps, game modes, and overall weapon balance. First up, the 3 multiplayer maps we got to play being Foundation, Dam, and Harbour, where you're pretty much average Gears maps, with Foundation really the only one standing out for me that I really did enjoy playing over the other two. They were all somewhat quite big maps, which is probably the reason why that I didn't really feel like they were amazing, like your Checkouts or your Raven Down. 2 game modes that were playable were Team Deathmatch and Dodgeball. TDM is TDM. I did experience a lot of spawn trapping in this game mode on all of the 3 playable maps, so hopefully some design changes are made in the final game to the maps themselves, just to try and decrease the opportunity of spawn trapping to a bare minimum, as it near enough happened every time on Dan. I'm not kidding, for either team or even sometimes for both teams in this same exact game. Dodgeball as a new game mode was a really fun new experience. It felt like a new innovative way to play, taking the slower gameplay style of Execution and Warzone and actually bringing in respawns as sort of like these objectives to the mode to make pushes and play a little bit more aggressively in a round-based game mode in Gears of War. For the final game, Warzone and Execution has actually been confirmed to be returning, even though Dodgeball has been introduced to us, which really doesn't make quite much sense at all, as I would rather see a lot more new innovative game modes to be playable instead of these 3 or 4 game modes being very similar with just slight small differences. Finally, I've saved weapon balance for last just because there's quite a few to cover, but let's get right into it. The Lancer for me was near enough perfect. The stopping power wasn't too much, and that goes for any gun really, but the Lancer is once again a good support weapon. It's not something you can actually run around with, destroying people with an active, huge, long clip. The Gnasher for the first time playing Gears 4 worked out as a consistent shotgun. I would probably say it worked too well, as a lot of gunfights actually consisted of 2-shot downs, and these could be quite far away, so if I could have actually anything changed for the Gnasher shotgun, it would probably minorly be changing the damage over range. The stun pistol was very underpowered at any given time I tried to use it, as a whole clip wouldn't actually down somebody, even sometimes with an active reload. So I think the stun pistol's damage would need to be slightly buffed just to make it actually worth using. The bolt-on pistol was the only weapon in the Gears of War 4 beta that I didn't actually get enough time to use to form an opinion. The smoke grenade has a very effective cloud of smoke that can't really be seen through, which is perfect, but I don't really like the smoke stuns returning, as a lot of players, including myself, would always begin a push with a smoke stun instead of being actually used to smoke out areas of the map, which smoke grenades, you know, should be used for. So hopefully for the final game, I would love to see smoke stuns removed. The frag grenades were a lot more better in this. They didn't really feel like small nukes going off with a huge radius. Now, I wanted to wait till now to mention it in covering weapon balance, because I really, come on now, really dislike grenade planting. If there was one thing I disliked about my Gears 4 experience, it was grenade planting. Now, even though they can be counted now with the TACCOM, a lot of newer players, or even players like myself who sometimes forgot to, for the one time, to use the TACCOM, were constantly getting spawn killed by random frag plants. It's the one thing I would love to see not return at all, 100%. The hammer burst is perfectly returning as a burst fire rifle instead of the single shot rifle we saw in some Gears games, but it was very underpowered trying to use it even at close range. I felt like I was forced as a player to use the Lancer, as attempting to use the hammer burst wasn't worth it at all, being so hard just to get one single kill. The sniper was great. I liked the flashlight still being included when a player was zooming in as sort of like a visual indicator. If the bloom could get removed, so it was more like Ultimate Edition Sniper. That would be a personal preference of mine, but including the bloom, it did make it a lot more skillful and harder to use. The torque bow was also great. I like the addition of the audio indicator when the player sticked an enemy, but there needs to be both audio and visual indicators for other players, as I could hardly hear it being charged up, and it was near enough impossible to see it being charged up. Also, it looked pretty much like the enemy player was just aiming at you, then boom, you're going to get blown up by the torque bow. The boom shot was that classic boom, Gears boom that we like, with the 2 bullets total and not as big splash damage when firing a shot compared to other games. And finally, for the weapons, we have the drop shot, which is of course very fun to use. It worked very well and it was very deadly. The only things I would probably change is possibly the audio of the mine going through the air, so it's a lot more easier to distinguish when being shot, as well as the red-like line from the mine as it goes through the air as well, being a lot more noticeable in the game itself. As somebody who is actually colorblind, I found it very, very hard to notice the on-screen indicator of this little red line, so pretty much every single time I just had to guess it 100%. So there you have it. There is my full complete Gears of War 4 beta review final impressions video, covering as much as I can possibly think of right now when just editing this video together. I do have a cold, I'm ill, but I still wanted to put out this video finally. Please make sure to leave me a comment down below telling me what you think. Quickly summarize in your head in the comments down below your final impressions of the Gears 4 beta. I'm really interested in what other people are thinking. Hopefully the Coalition Studio developers do get to watch this video, as I really do care about the Gears of War franchise, and I'm putting this video together as I hope my feedback can actually help out the overall final game when it releases later this year. I personally really did enjoy my time playing Gears of War 4 multiplayer. It was a solid Gears gaming experience, and possibly I would say the closest to getting it right first time for the series so far out of all the games I've played. Very much looking forward to the release of it later this year in October 2016. Give the video a thumbs up and share it if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you aren't already. Thanks for watching, and as always, I shall see you on the next one.
All that's left is a window to my soul. Come and get it.